Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutation to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Okay, I just wanted to go into a lesson going into how in Genesis chapter 25 and 27, how the scriptures describe Jacob as a plain man, and how we, us as Israelites had that same mentality for naturally. And I'm not saying, when I say natural, I mean it's in our nature to be this way. But of course, being over here in America and Babylon the Great and being influenced by Western culture, Westernization in general, it got Jake all over the place. But naturally, Jake liked to chill, Jake liked to chill, sit back, enjoy what Yahweh Shem Yahushua is giving them, have some food, drinks, family, friends, music, and be at home, chilling. That's what Jake likes to do, for the most part. Now, Jake like to travel and stuff too. And for the most part, Jake gonna travel. Jake gonna go see the world. Jake want to see things. But when Jake not doing that, we like to chill. And when we chilling, just paint the picture of the scenario. You got family and friends over. You got food, drinks, music going. You at the house chilling. Jake Jake chilling. Like Jake ain't trying to get into no mess. I keep saying, I'm saying Jake, but our people. We ain't trying to get into no mess, do nothing wrong. We just enjoying each other's company and enjoying the good vibes. But we get it from our forefather, Jacob, which we get all these characteristics from the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shem Yahushua in general. But we get it from our forefather, Jacob. And I'm going to just go into that plain, because when you read the word plain, it's not saying plain as in boring or uninteresting. It has actually a lot of meanings to it. And when it said dwelling in tents, that has meaning to it too. So I'm going to read ChatGPT. I asked ChatGPT, what does the Bible mean when it says Jacob was a plain man? And this is what it said. It said the phrase Jacob was a plain man comes from Genesis 25 and 27 in the KJV. And the boys grew, and Esau was a cunning hunter, a man of the field, and Jacob was a plain man dwelling in tents. It says to understand this phrase, it's helpful to look at the Hebrew word translated as plain. The original Hebrew is, which is say tam, which I'm going to go and check it, which can be also translated as blameless, innocent, mature, upright, and whole or complete, which is all characteristics of Jacob. These are all the characteristics of our forefather. This is why, which I'm gonna go ahead and start reading some of it. Genesis 25:21 in the KJV. And Isaac entreated the Lord for his wife because she was barren, and the Lord was entreated of him, and Rebekah was his wife conceived, and the children struggled together within her. And she said, if it be so, why am I thus? And she went to inquire of the Lord, like it. Now I'm going to read 23 in the KJAMP. It says, the Lord said to her, the founders of two nations are in your womb, and the separation of two nations have begun in your body. The one people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. Now when the first came, when her days to be delivered were fulfilled, behold, there were twins in her womb. I'm going to jump down. Here go verse 27. When the boys grew up, Esau was an able and skilled hunter, a man of outdoors, but Jacob was a quiet and peaceful man, living in tents. So it's letting you know that these brothers, these twins, were two completely different people. Two nations of people. They had two different spirits. They were completely different. But ChatGPT also say the same thing. So as it's describing Jacob, it says he's blameless, innocent, mature, upright, and whole or complete. Those are all characteristics of Jacob, which translates to us as well. Because naturally, without being under the influence of Western culture and Esau Edom, this is how our people operate. Naturally, we gravitate to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua and gravitate to the Heavenly Father, to the book, to the Bible, because that's in our spirit too. We are connected to Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua in every way, but it's because our people are under the influence of Western culture and feminism, and Esau Edom spirit is on them. You know, that's why they're the way they are. It says this same word is used to describe Job in Job 1:1, a perfect and upright man. So plain doesn't mean boring or unremarkable, as it might in modern English, because modern English wasn't spoken during this time. It was ancient Hebrew, Paleo Hebrew. So the words are completely different. It says instead it suggests moral integrity, simplicity of character, or even spiritual maturity. And these are all characteristics that our forefathers had and that we are possessing, you know, and that we now possess again, because Yahweh Bashim Abashah has woken us up, and we are all on our journey of becoming the best versions of ourselves we can possibly be. And a part of that, we learn moral integrity and we practice it and make it a part of our culture, a part of our nature, our character, simplicity of character, which is another thing, keeping it simple. You know, we're not trying to be the top guy. You know, we're not trying to be known to everybody. We like to keep it simple, you know. If we have what we need and we're able to still maintain, you know, that's good. You know, we're not trying to be seen or known or anything in this world. We're not trying to make something of ourselves in this world. Jacob wasn't trying to do that. And now look at him. He's one of the most famous figures in the world. And this was well over 2,000 years ago. But it said Jacob was a plain man, which is going to go more into plain, because it's going into plain as in describing his characteristics, his character of who he was. But it's also going to go more into it. Now it says, in contrast to Esau, who is described as a wild, adventurous man of the field, a hunter, physically bold, Jacob is depicted as thoughtful, domesticated, and contemplative. Now, when you get domesticated, it's going to break it down simple. And it's going to say, I'm going to get straight to the definition. It says, of humorous, fond of home life and housework, which that's what it's going into. But it also got down here, domesticate, make someone fond of and good at home life and the tasks that it involves. Jake likes to chill. Jake likes to be at home, be around family, you know, taking care of the house. A man that can take care of his house, do whatever he needs. One thing that really makes a man happy is to see his family happy. You know, when his wife is happy and his children are happy, that makes him happy. You know, that's one way of making him happy. Being fond of home life and housework. You know, things that need done around the house that makes the life simpler for his family, or just attending to his wealth and whatever he has going on for himself. If he got, you know, things, substance at his house that he tends to, you know, that truly makes him happy. Being self-sufficient. And then contemplative. Expressing or involving prolonged thought, involving or giving to deep silent prayer or religious meditation. So Jacob was extremely spiritual and connected to Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. But look who he was around. Abraham and Isaac, who the Lord made a covenant with Abraham and then reaffirmed his covenant with Isaac, then reaffirmed the covenant with Jacob and his descendants. So, of course, plain is not going to mean boring or unremarkable or uninteresting like it said. It goes deep. The words is completely different. So like I said, this may also hint at a person who stays, I'm going to read. Jacob is depicted as thoughtful, domesticated, and contemplative, living a quieter life, dealing intense. This may also hint a person who stays close to home, perhaps studying, tending flocks, or involved in family affairs. So Jacob was at the house, you know. Jacob liked to chill. Jacob, you know, he he got his Isaac, Rebecca, Abraham was around. um, they had their servants. Jacob, was learning, growing up, had tasks to do, and he was morally upright. So, Rebecca, and like I said, she loved Jacob. Isaac, he loved Esau because of the venison, as the scriptures describe it. But Rebecca, she loved Jacob, and she already knew the plan of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. She already knew the play. She was told what was, how it was going to go down. But at the same time, with them raising both Jacob and Esau, they know the spirit of Esau was different. He wasn't nothing like Jake. Jake was morally upright and better in every way, and they knew that. You just think about it in today's time. You might have two children. You might have a one who's worse than the other one you like more than the other one because of how they are. It's certain situations where it's like that. But in this situation, it was told to them that that's how it was going to be. So it says, so in context, Jacob was a plain man means Jacob was steady, morally grounded, and peaceful, not impulsive or rugged, like his brother Esau. Right, so Jacob was morally grounded, steady, and peaceful. This was the nature of Jacob. And like it also said, blameless, innocent, mature, upright, or whole, or complete, with moral integrity, simplicity of character, and spiritual maturity. He was thoughtful, domesticated, contemplative, and he was also a person who liked studying, staying close to the house, tending to flocks, and being involved in family affairs. So Jacob was basically how we like to be, and how we're learning to be. This is all a learning experience. We're learning how to be like this and be the best versions of ourselves doing this. And also too, along the way, like I said, we Jake liked to stay close to the house. As we mature more and more in this truth, we don't want to be a part of this world. We're in the world, but we don't want to be of the world. We like to do our own thing. Every brother and sister, brother for the most part, they like to do their own thing. Some brothers might like to go out, get a drink, go to the bar and something like that. But some brothers like to sit back, chill, go buy a bottle, have some food at the house, or cook something, or they got wives cook something, they family, experience that family life. Some brothers enjoy that. Some brothers like maybe a more quieter life where if they by themselves, just chilling by themselves, watching a movie, watching TV, probably play the game or something. Jake learning and liking to keep it more simple, versus how a lot of our people, they like to go out to clubs, go out late night, be out all types of night, and a lot of our people, they learning to do that too, to stay more at home. A lot of Israelites, a lot of Jake being on social media, mainly men, but women too, saying how they like to stay at home now. They like to be at home. That's where they want to be at. They want to be at home because that's really in our nature. But going back to the scriptures, like I said, Jacob, read it again. Verse 27 in the AMP, when the boys grew up, Esau was an able and skilled hunter, a man of outdoors, but Jacob was a quiet and peaceful man, living in tents. So Jake liked to stay at home, but he was quiet and peaceful. Jake didn't go bother nobody either. That's another thing. Because, you might have a cookout at your house. You might, you might have a little gathering at your house, have food, drinks, people come over, music, everybody chilling. And Jake just like to keep it simple. You're not out bothering nobody. You're not out causing no trouble or nothing. Jake didn't do that. Jake wasn't out trying to go steal somebody's land or break into somebody's house or nothing like that. That's what Esau do. Esau like to get into stuff like that. Jake like to keep it simple. you know? And that's what we gonna get in the kingdom of heaven, you know? When we get to, when the kingdom of heaven is established, Jake gonna have his own space. Israelites, our people, starting with the elect and their descendants too, their children. You gonna get your own place, your own space in the universe, on the earth, the universe, however the Lord set everything up, which we know, like the scriptures say, in my Father's house are many mansions. And if it was not so, he would have told us. So other planets, anything and everything that's beyond our understanding and our comprehension that the Lord has in store for us, we're going to get to enjoy it in the kingdom of heaven, we're going to get to literally enjoy this. And Jake going to be able to have everything he want and chilling, You might have your own planet, a couple of planets where you just got different things going on, but it's chilling, You get to enjoy. Jake is a plain, when it's a plain, a quiet and peaceful man, morally upright, but also like to dwell at the house, be at home, We're going to be doing our thing in the kingdom of heaven. But like I said, even more so now, we just learning how to live that type of lifestyle, the lifestyle of simplicity. There's nothing wrong with being simple, or keeping it simple. I say it like that. There's nothing wrong with keeping things simple, because a lot of the times, especially this nightlife is dangerous. And especially the times we're living in now, it's extremely dangerous, And just like today earlier, in our city of Jackson, Mississippi, an 8-year-old got shot and killed. I don't know all the details, but an 8-year-old had got shot and killed today. It's dangerous, and I think that was during the daytime. It might have been overnight, but I think that was during the daytime. I don't know exactly what time it was, but no matter what, Jake liked to be at the house, and we don't like the drama. We don't like the, all the noise or the chaos. We like to keep things simple. That's why I said quiet and peaceful, man. We want to keep things simple. So just wanted to go into that. Chat GPT had his thoughts on Jacob and his characteristics and how he was. And it's the same way how we like to be, or we are learning to be. So, Lord will, it was an edifying lesson. We want to give our praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutation to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. Until next time, shalom.